Time is precious and efficiency is key. If you are still stuck manually crunching numbers in Excel, you are not just losing time, you are missing out on the power of automation. Imagine if there was a way to work smarter and not harder. With automation in Excel, there is. If you are still thinking why automate, let me tell you that knowing how automation works in Excel will not only save those valuable hours, but also minimize errors, optimize your workflows and let you focus on what truly matters. In this video, we will discuss various techniques and AI tools like Excel Bot, Ajelix, GPT Excel and many more to automate complex processes, empowering you to streamline your work and boost productivity. From students to business professionals to just about anyone, this video could be a game changer. Let's dive in.
Hello learners, welcome to Great Learning. My name is Madhur Singh and in today's session we are going to talk about a topic called automation in Excel. Now Excel has been the most dominant softwares around the planet when it comes to data cleaning, data analysis, data visualization. Now this particular tool is so popular that almost every single industry has its use case. Now let's look at what are the ways in which we can automate some of the processes that we do in Excel. Right? Without any further ado, let's look at the agenda for the session. So first in this session, we'll talk about what is automation in Excel. We'll have a brief description about what automation actually means when we're talking about Excel. Then we'll use some formulas and functions. We'll have a grasp on those, what are most commonly used to clean your data, to transform your data, right? For this automation that we are talking about. Then we'll talk about conditional formatting that would be there for the automation in Excel. We'll talk about pivot tables, how you can create, manage different kinds of pivot tables. Then at the end, we'll also talk about automating these tools using the AI tools that are currently in demand and are popular that can simplify our lives to another extent. Without any further ado, let's get started with our course. Introduction to automation in Excel. Now, in this module, let's talk about what the automation actually means. So, what is automation? So, in a nutshell, it is basically the process of using the technology to perform the task automatically without any manual usage, right? In this case, we do not want any manual effort to go from our end. It should be more automated and the result should be more aligned with what we want, right? So, what are the key things that it would help in? It would save a lot of time and improve efficiency. Also, it can be applied to a wide range of tasks including data entry, data formatting and analysis. Key benefits of automation. Now let's look at what are the major benefits that we have if we automate the Excel. So the first and the most key element for every manager on the planet would be increased productivity. So the automation can significantly enhance the productivity by eliminating the need of any human intervention in the repeated tasks that it may have, right? So the repeated task would include, if for example, in a data set of 1000 rows, if you have an order date or some sort of date that you have to manually change, right? So these type of tasks can be automated. In some cases, you may have to change the data type, right? In that case also, these repeated tasks can be eliminated. Second is the reduction of errors. Now the automation reduces the likelihood of a human error. Now imagine that if you're doing the first step of any analysis, that is data cleaning. So in your data cleaning part, there are things that the machines or the computers can more likely be better in understanding than you with your manual eye, right? There is always a scope of human error and that can be significantly reduced by the use of automation, which can be costly and detrimental to the business operations. Automated systems perform tasks with precision and consistency, minimizing any risk of mistakes and ensuring the data is accurate, right? So that is the purpose, that before your analysis, just before your analysis, the data set that you have, it should be properly cleaned. It should not have any outliers as such. It should be free from any sort of errors that can hinder the results at the end. So that's the purpose. That's the most important element as well. The third aspect is the improved quality. So the automation promotes consistent quality by standardizing processes and eliminating inconsistencies. Now, what does this mean? This means that, let's take an example that you have a sort of summary data for every month of a particular, let's say, warehouse. So in that case, every month you would have to clean that data. Every month you have to make changes to that data, right? So in such, you would have a set principles. If you're doing that task manually, you would have set principles in play, right? Step 1, you would do that. Step 2, you would maybe make some changes in the rows. Step 3, maybe to eliminate the rows that have inconsistent data. Number 4 would be to remove any random bias that would be there in the data, right? So now, if your task is not automated, you have to do that same task every single month, right? That is 12 times in a year, you have to make changes to that data, and that would take you days and days. So in order to do that, what best thing is to set a process by automation. Now, the only thing that you have to do at the end would be just to feed that raw data, and everything would be done by the computer or by the automation that we are talking about, right? So these systems, right, they would be error free. Why? Because you would have worked on one particular data set, one particular month, and then you would add all the files of the remaining months at once, and it will do the exact same operations without missing any step. While if any human is doing, that can create a chaos in terms of whether something is missed or not, because always there is a intervention of human error which should be minimized at the highest level. So we are talking about lower operational costs. So automation can lead to significant cost savings by reducing the labor expenses, minimizing material waste, and optimizing the resource utilization at the highest level. So this was about the key benefits that the automation can bring if you're working in a company or if you own your company yourself. So now, what are the various ways in which you can automate the tasks that are there? Number one is always the go-to factor is using functions, right? So Excel offers a wide range of formulas that can be used to automate the calculations, data manipulation, and conditional formatting, right? Now, if you're a fresher out of college and you do not have the experience with working with Excel at a higher level, I would tell you that the key elements of using, be it consultancy, be it healthcare industry, be it finance sector, be it fintech, anything and everywhere, the Excel plays the key role. And there are a million shortcuts that are there in Excel. But what is the most important element is the use of functions and conditional formatting. These two key elements would make your life significantly easier at the first step when you receive your data. So for instance, you can use various functions that are there, that is sum, average, count. We'll have a brief look at what exactly these are and how do they function to summarize the data, and the if condition that is there, if function is there to apply any conditional logic that would be there, and also the use of VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP functions to retrieve the data from various ranges or worksheets within a single Excel file, right? There are ways in which you can have that automation done with different files as well, but in the single file, the functions play a key role in optimizing your workflow. Second element is conditional formatting. Now, conditional formatting allows you to automatically apply formatting styles to the cells based on the specific conditions that you input, right? Maybe you want some value that is greater than, let's say, 200 or from the entire data set. You want some various specific changes that you want to highlight, right? So that you can do. For example, you can highlight the cells with errors, identify if there are any outliers, or create visual indicators for your data analysis. Conditional formatting can be used to automate formatting tasks and enhance data presentation, right? So conditional formatting again is one of my go-to things when I first look at a raw data, and it eases out most of the processes in the play. Then is AI assisted data analysis, right? There are a million tools that can help you automate your workflow, right? If you do not know how the Excel works, how the functions work, there are tools in which in a very layman terms, you have to chat with them. You have to just tell them, okay, I want the sum of X number of rows, but I don't know how to do, give me a formula. It will give by itself, right? You can in some of the Excel tools, you can even write in Hindi or any regional language and it'll still give you the result. That is also possible. Now, we'll talk about what those tools are at the end of this course, because we have a module that would specifically talk about the AI tools. So these tools, what would they? They can help you with extracting meaningful insights from large data sets and make your data-driven decisions for you, right? If you have a problem statement that you want them to answer, it can also generate reports for you. That is the level in which we are working at the current age, in which artificial intelligence can help you automate absolutely everything that has to do with the problem statement. Then is data validation. Now, data validation allows you to set various rules for the data entries that would be there in a particular worksheets. Now, you can specify the data types, ranges, and the error messages to ensure that only the valid data is entered. Data validation can automate data validation tasks and improve the data integrity. Now, what exactly it does is, so if you're sharing the Excel file with someone else, right, and you want very specific information to be added in, through data validation, you can make sure that if the value that you would want is not added in the particular cell, that value would not be added and it would show an error message that, okay, the value that you have input is invalid. So it would have that thing. You can customize even the error message that it will show. So that's the beauty of data validation. Then come pivot tables. Now, pivot tables are also one of the most powerful tools when it comes to your analysis of data. It would not help you in any data cleaning or as such, but it will definitely optimize the columns and combine them with rows in the way you want. For example, if you want your order date, or if you want the duration or the years to match with the revenue or any other numerical value, it would have all the time frames set up in play for your easy access to view, right? It will sum the data that is present without using functions, and it can automate most of the tasks that you would want, right? So if you want, let's say I want to see what the revenue has been in 2 different years, right? It will give you the line chart through pivot charts. It will give you the what was the revenue, the sum of the revenue, and everything can be done in pivot tables. So pivot tables are powerful tools for summarizing, analyzing, and visualizing large data sets. You can use pivot tables to create dynamic tables that group and filter data, calculate values, aggregations, and generate charts. So one more element is that if you want to build a dynamic dashboard, right, from Excel, you can do that. So for example, if you're working in a consulting firm, and in that case, you would want some dynamic dashboard that the clients want. So in that case, what would happen is you can create that dashboard. You can have the data validation done there as well. You can filter out the things that you would want to showcase from multiple sheets in that particular Excel file, right? You can storyboard that particular dashboard as well, right? That is possible in Tableau, what we know of, but that can also be done in Excel, right? Of course, from a very small data set, right? If your data set is more than 10,000 rows, Excel should not be used ideally. But if it is under that range, Excel is the best tool that you have on the table, right? For example, if the sheets, or if your data set is of 3 million rows, or let's say 300,000 rows, in that case, it was preferable to use Python, Tableau, SQL. But if you have a smaller data set, in that case, Excel is the best buddy that you have. Using functions for automation. So as I already mentioned before, that functions play a key role when it comes to automating several tasks, right? If you want to sum multiple rows in one single column, you can do that through functions. You can use multiple such things for easing out the process in which you would want to add different sort of things in Excel. So let's look at how these functions are in a nutshell. At the end, of course, I will tell you how to automate these things in a much faster way. But going ahead, let's look at what the functions are about. So what are the functions? So they are basically the predefined instructions that specifically perform specific calculations in a particular order in a spreadsheet. Now, what would be the basic syntax for that? It starts with a equal to sign, so that resembles the start of a function or a formula, if you may say so. So then there would be a keyword, right? The name of the formula that performs the specific calculations. Now this is a keyword here, and you would want to know what these keywords actually are. So then you would have open parenthesis that would resemble what the range of your cells are, right? This particular range would tell that what your range in your spreadsheet is, right? And it also has several different tasks depending on what the function you choose to use, right? So in this case, what we have on screen is number of rows, number of different rows, and you want to know the average of it, right? So here you have the first cell over here and the last cell over here, and this cell is the one in which you want the result to be, right? Call it the end result. So how that can be done? So first you need to know what you want. So in this case we want average, so we'll have an equal to sign, then we'll write the keyword, that is average, then we'll have an open parenthesis, then the range of cells, right? So this here would be our cell number E15, this would be the cell number E20, right? So what we can do is we can click over here and drag and drop till E20, so the range will come over here, right? Then we just have to press enter and you would have the average of all these as a result in there, right? So this is how you write functions. Now there are some very important functions that are there that you must know before you know how to automate these things. So what these functions are, the first one is COUNTIF. Now what does it do? So I'm not talking about any of the basic ones that are there, that is sum, average, maximum, minimum. I'm not talking about that. I'll talk about the ones that would actually help you in segregating your data or cleaning your data in some way or the other. So the first one is COUNTIF. So a function that counts the number of cells that match a specific condition, right? So what the syntax is equal to sign COUNTIF, range and the condition, right? So at the end, what it will give is the number of times that condition has been met, right? So the second one is length. So a function that returns the length of a text string, right? It will tell you what the characters are. So the syntax is equal to len, and you can have that particular cell of what you want the number of text strings would be, right? Then is left and right. This is also very commonly used when you have to segregate data between columns. So a function that returns specific number of characters from the left and the right side in a cell. So you would have equal to left, then open parenthesis cell, comma, the number of characters. Then you would have, for the right one, you would have equal to right, cell, comma, you have to write the number of characters you want segregated in a new column. Then you have concatenate. This is also one of the most common ones that are there, that combines multiple text cells into a single cell, right? So if you have first name, if you have last name, and you want to combine it, you can do that through concatenate. Basically it merges two different cells and make it a single cell. So the syntax is equal to concatenate cell 1, cell 2. Also you can use concat as the keyword, because that would also take, the Excel would also take that. Then is the trim function. So what does this trim function do? So it function that removes any extra unwanted spaces that would be in the cell, right? So you have to just write equal to trim cell 1 and you would have the end result. Now we'll move to Excel and now we'll see a brief hands-on all these key terms that are there, right? So now in this case, I have a dummy data set right here in which I have the movie title and the language it was made in its original form. So what I'll do is, I have a problem statement here that find the number of movies that are there in English, French or Italian. So what I'll do is, I want it in this particular cell. So what will I do is, I'll click on equal to, now the function was COUNTIF. I'll have my range set up. So I want to know the number of movies that are there in English, right? So this would be my range. Then the criteria would be to write English. This is the keyword it will be looking at, right? So I'll close the things and then I'll click on enter. It will give me 5 is the number of times that the word English has repeated over here, right? So if you have to manually check, you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, right? So it's correct. Similar to that, what you have to do is you have to write the same set of things for this as well. COUNTIF open parenthesis, the range remains the same, comma. Now the thing to be noted here is that if I just write French over here and I close the parenthesis, it will show me an error. It will show me 0. Why is that? Now I'll tell you. The reason why it will show is that there was a thing in which we have to add the comma over here, inverted commas, right? If that is not there, it will not read the string and it will showcase it as a number, right? So there is no number as French over here. The number of times the French is repeated is what it will show. Now it will give me the answer, that is 5. 5 is the number of times. Similar to this, I can have the Italian one as well, right? So this is how the COUNTIF function works. Then comes the trim function. So in this case, what do I want? So you can see there are a lot of different unwanted spaces that are there, right? So I just want to remove that. So I'll just write equal to trim. Then I have the text, then I'll write enter. So it will give me that. What I'll do is in this particular column, I'll drag and drop and it will remove any extra unwanted spaces that would be there in this particular part, in this particular column, right? So this is the trim function. Then we have left and right. So let's say that I want to extract the pin code that is there in this particular column. So what I'll do is I'll write equal to left, open parenthesis, the number of characters. Now, for the matter of fact, I can see that the number here is 6, right? The pin code is of 6 digits. So I'll click on this cell, then I'll write 6. I'll close this cell and I'll press enter. So now I'll get what this first 6 elements in that particular cell are, get it extracted over here. I'll double click this, it will duplicate the formula for the entire column, right? This is the left one. Now I do the right one. In case I want to extract the last, let's say 6 digits, that's county. If I want to extract that, what I'll do is I'll write equal to right. Then I click on the particular cell, then I'll write 6, then I'll close the parenthesis, it will give me the last 6 elements of that particular cell and I'll replicate it and give me the exact value. So this is the left and the right function. Then we have concatenate. Now let's say there's first name, last name and I want to add that. So I'll write concatenate, concat. As I mentioned that you can use the formula of concat as well. You don't need to write the entire one. Concat works too. So I'll have the first, then the second, right? First, comma, second. Close, it will give me the entire full name here as well. I can just drag and drop in this particular data set and it will just combine the letters for me, right? Combine these 2 cells for me. Then is the length one. So in the length function, what it gives me, it would give me the length of this particular string that is there, right? So what I'll do is I'll click on equal to len, that was the keyword that we mentioned, then this particular cell, then enter. So 9 is the number of elements that are there in this particular cell. You can count m 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 9, right? So now I can just drag and drop this entire one to the field and it will give me the accurate results that are there, right? Now if I have a space bar added, right, you can see the number increases. Why is that the case? This is because empty space is also counted as an element that it is taking, or the space that it is taking in that particular cell. Conditional formatting for automation. Now let's look at what conditional formatting exactly is and how we can use that to automate our data set, automate our task in our data set, right? So let's get started. What is conditional formatting, if you may ask? Conditional formatting is a powerful tool in Excel that can be used to automate tasks and enhance the data presentation, right? So here I have the basic view of how it looks. So you can have different elements, you can set different conditions, and then you can get the results out of it, be it in terms of visual representations or in terms of some segregations that it would have, right? So here, if you can see the elements that are there, right, you can highlight the cell rules that are there. Every cell would have a rule. If you are selecting a range in a data set, you can have a certain formula that, okay, you would want to highlight a cell that has value greater than 500, right? That's a cell rule. You can add that. Then you can have top and bottom rules, that top 10 you would want the list to be, bottom 10 you would want the list to be. Then you have data bars, color scales depending on what the value is. So all that rules that can be set up, that's why the name conditional formatting. So conditional formatting allows you to automatically apply various formatting styles to cells based on specific conditions. This can be used to highlight important data, identify if there are any outliers, and create visual indicators for data analysis and trigger actions based on those data changes. Then what are the various examples that are there for conditional formatting? So number one is highlighting the errors or the outliers. So you can use conditional formatting to highlight the errors, as we just mentioned, such as you would have normally seen these types of errors that would have come when you were using Excel, or to identify the outliers in the data set. Now this can help you quickly spot the potential issues or take any corrective action if possible. So if you're dealing with large data set, then if some error shows, you can quickly correct it using conditional formatting. Then is color coding the data. You can use conditional formatting to have a quick glance of how your data looks. You can have a narrative build up looking at the data when you have some color scales mentioned in that particular cell, right? So it's basically colors the cell in itself. If you're having a color scale set up, it does that as well. So you can use conditional formatting to color code data based on different criteria, such as example, sales performance, customer satisfaction rating, or any risk levels that are there, right? You would have 5 and above. So the number of cities in which, let's say, for an earthquake risk level, right, it would highlight that particular cell if it is from the condition that you have set. This can make it easier to visualize different patterns, trends, and exceptions in the data, right? Create dynamic dashboards. You can use conditional formatting to create dynamic dashboards that update automatically with the data change. Now, this can provide real-time insights into the key performance indicators and other critical data points. So now let's look at conditional formatting in Excel. So I'll open the particular data set. So now here I have a data set in which dummy companies are mentioned and their quarterly revenues are mentioned for 1 year, right? So these are the different companies that are there. Now what will I do? I'll add conditional formatting parameters to this, right? So I'll click on conditional formatting over here. My data set is already selected. Then I'll click on this first cell rule, that is greater than, right? So here in this case, there is a dummy number that is there, 55,278. What this 55,278 is, it's basically the average of the entire data set. So the average value of this entire 4 columns combined would be 55,278.50. So in this case, I'll just fill it with green color. I'll just click on OK and it will give me. So I need not select this header and column because anyways they are not values. They would not add any value selecting that. So you can skip that as well. So in this case, it will highlight me the values that are greater than 55 that we set up, right? The average. Now, why is this important, right? It may seem that it is quite unnecessary to color code these particular values. But if you have rows that are, let's say, 1000, 2000 rows, right? So without doing any visualization, if you just want to get a grasp of what data is, just the first step, right? In that case, conditional formatting is your friend. In that case, you can easily identify the things that you would want to build on, right? The thought process, the building of the narrative to solve that problem would start from this point, right? I can have the various color scales, right? Color scales would mention if in that particular thing, if that is lowest or highest, so that can be colored as well, right? You can have your own rule set up and it would also give you the things, right? Top 10%, right? If fill it with, let's say, I have yellow, right? The ones that are top 10 in that particular data set and the range that I have set, right? So it will give me all the top 10 numbers that are there, 97. So it will give me that. Also, if I want to have the ones that are bottom, right? Bottom, let's take 10% this time, right? Fill it with, let's say, red text, right? I'll click on OK. The one with red text are the lowest numbers in the entire data set. Now, these are the various things that can easily automate the tasks that you would want to do. You can have that thing in play in which you do not have to manually search, okay, which one is the lowest one here. You can quickly use conditional formatting and get that answer. I would not say that it would give you the analysis of what you want to do, but it will give you the thought process to begin with. That's why conditional formatting is one of the most important elements when we talk about segregating the data at level 1. Automating Excel using AI tools. So in this module, let's look at the various AI tools that are present that can help you automate your work in Excel. So the first one is Excel Formula Bot, right? So what it does it? So using this, number one is you can navigate Excel with confidence. What does this mean? This means that you'll gain a step-by-step guidance on using Excel from basic functions to the advanced techniques that would be there, ensuring that you make the most use of the spreadsheet. Second thing is it will generate formulas effortlessly. So any Excel formula that would be there, so the Excel formula bot, what it will do is it will take a guesswork out of the formula creation. So if you type a rough formula that, okay, sum of this, right? Sum of B17 to B29, right? So if you want to do that, roughly if you write also, it will understand. That's what it is. You do not have to be precise about what you are writing. Simply describe your desired calculation or data manipulation, and the Excel formula bot will generate the corresponding formula, and which will eventually lead to you saving the time and effort. Then tap into the collective knowledge of Excel users. So it has a database in which you can connect with the community of Excel users through the Excel Formula Bot forum, where you can ask questions and seek guidance and share the insights with your fellow Excel users. So that is what the Excel Formula Bot will help you doing. So it will basically help you navigate through Excel in a much more quick manner, and it would be effortless to do that. So that is what Excel Formula Bot does. Then is Ajelix. So what it does is basically it quickly converts the natural language descriptions into accurate Excel formulas, saving you time and effort. So if you type in any of the regional language, you will understand. So that's how it is trained. Now again, the transformer that runs behind is a GPT 3.5 or 4 if they have updated it now, but it was 3.5 earlier. What it does is it understands the layman language that you put in and extracts the information that is needed. So basically what exactly ChatGPT does. Then it also helps you write VBA scripts. Now there's a tool in Excel. I'll show it to you right now. So if I go to Excel and randomly if I want to open something known as Microsoft VBA, Visual Basics for Applications. So what will I do? I'll click on Alt and I'll click on F11. So it opens a window called Visual Basic for Applications, right? It's given me the file that I'm currently in. Now, what will happen is that particular tool, what it will do is it will create a VBA script for you. So anything that you want to do in terms of analysis, you can just add that script that it has generated, create a new module, paste that script over here, and then you can run it. So it will run the things that you would want to do, right? So that's the beauty of Ajelix. Then it can clean and analyze your data. So it eliminates any data errors that are there, it removes any duplicates that are there, and format your data correctly for seamless analysis. Ajelix also provides statistical analysis tool, which I do not recommend you to use because it's not that strong. Report generation is there again, but it is not at the level that you would want in your analysis. So do not rely on that. I would say use it for creating VBA scripts if you want to, and also translate. If you do not know anything about Excel, you can just put in the things in a natural language and then it will give you the exact formulas that are required, right? So it can help you in that regard as well. Then is ArcWise AI. So it is also very similar to what Ajelix does, but it has a bit more difference in terms of its user interface. Its user interface is much better. So what it does is it converts the ArcWise AI's intelligent chatbot to effortlessly ask questions and receive formula recommendations, right? So in this case, you would want more than one formula, right? More than one function to solve a particular problem. So you can just ask the problem to it and it will give you suggestions based on what it deems fit, right? So that's what it is. Also, it runs on the same neural engine that ChatGPT does. Second element is harness AI generated formula recommendation. So again, the power of AI to recommend you the formulas that would be present. Then automate the data cleaning and scraping. So streamline your data preparation process by automating the various data cleaning tasks, like removing duplicates, all the data that are inconsistent, removing that, looking for if there is any bias in data, that also can be done, right? Correcting errors and formatting data for analysis. Then is effortlessly create insightful charts and graphs. Transform your data into visual, compelling, informative charts with ArcWise AI's intuitive chart creation tools, right? So this is also, if you take the premium subscription, you will be able to do that. This is not really present in their free versions, or not to the extent that you would want, right? So again, use pivot tables, pivot charts for that if you deem fit. Essentially use AI tools for your function recommendations, right? To solve, or any shortcut that you want. Do not use it for the visualization or perfect analysis purposes, because it may show you some errors that would not be accurate or may hinder your data project. Then is GPT Excel. So this is also a very strong tool. The best part is it can be used on Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets. So enhance your spreadsheet capabilities with GPT Excel. So number one is categorize the data effortlessly. Leverage GPT Excel's AI capabilities to efficiently categorize rows of data into specific groups, facilitating the data organization and analysis. Then is forecast future trends with precision, right? It goes one step beyond, in which it will give you, okay, this is the data that you have input. Now, one factor that is bit more scary in this part is that your data privacy can be a concern in this case. So you have to either input a dummy data that resembles equivalent to what you're working on. If you're working on some confidential case for your client, then this would not be the right thing to do, right? You would want a sample dummy data to put in so that you can have your analysis done in that regard. Handle large dataset with ease. So GPT Excel seamlessly handles large datasets within your spreadsheets, providing the powerful data analysis capabilities without compromising on any performance, right? So I'll have a sort of snippet over here in which you can have your queries put in here, query, the result would be displayed over here, right? So it would give you, okay, A11, the result would be, you would want to have a space in between, so it gives you what exactly needs to be added, right? So this is how these tools would help you automate your work and make your life simpler when it comes to data analysis. Pivot tables for automation. So in this particular module, let's look at what pivot tables are and how it can automate our work significantly, right? So what are pivot tables? Pivot tables are the powerful tool for summarizing, analyzing, and visualizing data, right? So till now, what we were looking at was basically automating or speeding up the work that it would require for us to prepare the data for analysis, right? This particular element, that is pivot tables, it would help us to summarize the data, analyze the data, and visualize the data at once. So this is the most important part when it comes to the second phase of any data project, that is data analysis. So what can they do? They can be used to automate the data analysis and reporting tasks, freeing up the users to focus on more complex and value-adding activities like creation of problem statements, if any, right? So in that case, you can really automate your work to another level. Then what are the key benefits of using the pivot tables for automation? Number one is automated data summarization. So pivot tables can automatically summarize large data sets, calculating the totals, average, count, and other measures without the need of any manual calculations. Second is the dynamic data filtering and segmentation. So pivot tables allow users to filter and segment data based on various criteria, enabling them to focus on various specific areas of interest and uncover any hidden insights if they are, right? Then is interactive data visualization, the third element. Pivot tables can generate charts, which is also known as pivot charts, and graphs directly from the summarized data that would be there, right? So there would be another window that would be opened in which you can summarize it, providing a visually appealing interactive way to explore and communicate the insights, right? Then is real-time data update. So pivot tables automatically update when the underlying data changes, ensuring that the report and the visualization part always reflect the most current information, right? These are the 4 key benefits that you would have if you're using pivot tables. So now let's look at how these pivot tables work. So now let's look at how pivot tables we can use. First, what we can do is we can remove any outliers if they are present in the data, right? So if I see that, okay, this has an order ID that is not present, I'll just remove it, right? I'll just delete the part, or I can just do one thing is, okay, I'll delete it itself. So mostly this data looks clean. I don't see any significant outliers here. So the ones that are there, I'll remove. Or I can do one thing, that I can just filter out this data. So I'll click on sort and filter, click on. So I'll just uncheck the one that is not present. So I'll have this done. Then I'll go to insert, then I click on pivot charts. So the default setting remains the same. I'll have a pivot table. Okay, I would want it in different tables. So what I'll do is I'll click on the pivot table for my second analysis. So I'll click on new workbook, I'll click on OK. So this particular window will pop up. Now in this case, second perspective that I want to get is the cost that was involved. So cost is a value, it's a number, so it will go in the values tab. Then again, I'll click on the order tab to know that when this order was placed and what was the sum of the cost that was incurred in making of an order that was placed in that particular day. So in this case, now I would want a chart again. So I'll click on chart. Again, it's a moving chart. So I'll click on this as well. So I'll click on it and it will give me the cost, how it was incurred, right? So if I have to measure and showcase it to any higher management or anyone, so I can just show the graphs instead of showing them the raw data. So that's what the end goal of a pivot table actually is. So now let's talk about one of the most important aspects in higher level analysis, that is Power Query. So in this module, we'll know what Power Query actually is, and we'll have a sort of hands-on into exactly tell how it works. Power Query is a data transformation and connection tool which is primarily used in Microsoft Excel, though it is also available with other Microsoft products like Power BI and other tools of Microsoft. Now, what is the element that is very important in Power Query? It is that it deals with higher level of analysis. So, just like how you would do something in Python in which you would have your analysis done, you would write a code and the analysis would be done. Similar to that, that level of analysis is present through Power Query. The difference is that you do not need to know any code, right? So what is the reason? It is designed to help users efficiently import, clean and transform the data from various sources before using it for analysis and reporting, right? Now, in Python, right, you can merge a lot of different files together. In this Power Query as well, the Power Query editor, you can also merge different files. You do not need to have all the sheets in the single Excel file. You can have multiple Excel files. What it will do is it will merge all these files together and give you the end results of what you want, right? For example, we were talking about the different, let's say the data of a month, right? We were telling it to automate for 1 month and then just giving it the raw file for the rest of the months, right? Similar in this case, what will happen is you will do it for one sample file and it will replicate all the analysis of that sample file to all the other files that are present in that particular folder, right? So this is what Power Query is. We'll see the hands-on of how it works. Congratulations on finishing up this course. Now let's look at what you have learned so far. So automation can significantly enhance productivity by eliminating the need of human intervention in repetitive tasks. The need for automation arises when we have a lot of data that would require repetitive tasks. To ease out those processes, it is very important to automate your workflow. Excel offers a wide range of formulas that can be used to automate the calculations, data manipulation, and conditional formatting. Conditional formatting is a very powerful tool in Excel that can be used to automate the task and enhance the data presentation, right? So the first element to your analysis would be to identify the narrative that you want to build, the storyline you want to build with the data that you're working with. So that is the first step, the crucial step to identify what are the different elements, what are the different variety of things that are present in your data. Pivot tables are a very powerful tool for summarizing, analyzing and visualizing large dataset in Excel. AI-powered tools can assist with data analysis tasks such as identifying the trends, patterns, and if there are any anomalies in the data. So this was about this particular session. I hope you had a wonderful learning experience. For more such courses, stay tuned to Great Learning.